Hey everybody, welcome to another Goody Reader review video. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Today we're going to take a look at the Blackberry Q10. This is the latest smartphone from Blackberry, and formerly known as Research in Motion. And as you can see, it has a full keyboard, and it's a stark contrast from the Z10, as you see here, which is a full touchscreen phone. We're going to battle these two head-to-head in a future video, but I wanted to give you a sense on the screen size and what you can expect. This screen is absolutely huge. If you look at the Blackberry Torch, it's almost the same screen size, but you're seeing a lot more under the hood than previous models of Blackberry. For example, it has a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz processor in conjunction with 2 gigs of RAM, which in a Blackberry phone is absolutely insane. Now, as you can see here, it's a square screen, so the resolution is actually 720 by 720, and it'll display almost 16.7 million colors on a Super AMOLED screen. I'm very impressed so far with this phone. You have a rear-facing 8-megapixel camera with an LED flash. As you can see here, it's a little bit of a textured background, but it's just for aesthetics. It's not actually like grooves that help you hold the phone a little bit better.
It's just a flat plastic backing with a carbon fiber woven look to it. It's not really woven.
Right. So let's take a look at some of the ports and what we can expect from there.
On the side, we have your micro HDMI out along with micro USB for transferring data and charging your phone. Speaker, microphone. Center button that you can use you can customize it to trigger different things. Volume up, volume down. Additional microphone up top with a power/standby button. 3.5mm headphone jack. And once again, the backing has the nice metallic logo with carbon fiber look to it, as well as the top. So the battery backing would come off like that. And you have your battery, micro SIM, and micro SD card.
Yeah, one of the cool things about Blackberry phones is being able to swap out the batteries. I mean, if you have an iPhone, and a lot of Android phones don't actually allow you to physically move the battery out. So when you do travel or when you're long days at work and whatnot, you can actually carry an extra battery with you and swap them out on the fly. But you could actually buy higher capacity batteries than just a stock battery to give you longer battery life. Looking at the software side of things, you can see here is the BB10 operating system, and the Q10 is the second phone put out by Blackberry that showcases this OS. The first one was the Blackberry Z10, and it is certainly a huge upgrade from all previous models of Blackberry. As you can see here, we have the Torch, and you can see just the way that the icons are presented and the overall interface is tremendously different. Way snappier, apps load up faster. When you scroll here, you can actually see the hub, and this is where your text messages, Facebook notifications, Twitter notifications. You see next to here the Z10, and you can see here how the screen is tremendously large, whereas the Torch here almost the same size screen dimensions. So you can see the juxtaposition between the previous generation versus the BB10 generation. So this is a full keyboard, and here as well is a keyboard. So this is my favorite phone that Blackberry has ever produced, but it's getting a little bit long in the tooth compared to today's standards, and I think that the Q10 really raises the bar in business-minded professional devices. Of course, in the past, I would say that you wouldn't buy the Blackberry to play Angry Birds. You'd buy it in order to be productive, to be able to download all of your business apps and be mobile on the go. Well, that's not the case anymore, because with Blackberry 10, it does have an Android emulator, so you can install apps that you can't get from Blackberry World, most notably the apps that we see here: Marvel Comics, Pulse, Google Maps, Instagram, Skype for the Q10, which is actually in preview mode in the Blackberry World App Store, but it's not fully available. And as you can see here, we have Kindle, which Amazon has an app for the Z10, but it's actually not available for the Q10. Well, we do have it here, so you can get all these apps that you see here through our apps.goodyreader.com store. And just to kind of show you what you can expect here.
Not the best screen to read on, I'll say that. It's a square, and then it's just not a lot of the text actually shows up. So
yeah,
it does work though. This is just to show you that it works.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you that you could get the Kindle app on your phone, whereas you could not do this with any prior model of BlackBerry other than the Z10. So you could install Kobo, you can install all of your primetime e-reading apps and sort of read on the go, but the screen isn't really that indicative. I would say if you're buying a BlackBerry phone for a pure e-reading experience, you might want to take a look at the Z10, but the Q10 is more keyboard friendly, and I do like the way that the keys are risen. It definitely has a better feel than prior models of, say, the BlackBerry Bold or the BlackBerry Curve. It does feel like a high-end device, and it is, because you would pay, like in Canada, about $200, and then on top of a 3-year contract. If you wanted to buy it straight up, it's like $799. So it is a very expensive phone. Much like Android, you can swipe down, see some of your settings and stuff like that here. This is really where you would set up the network connections. You can see here different options. Via the HDMI, you can actually connect it up. One of the things is that you could peek here, and this is one of the kind of cool aspects of the BlackBerry Hub. You could really kind of see BBM notifications, Twitter notifications, Facebook, and stuff like that. Now, you may say to yourself, this looks like a lot of spam. If you go to your notifications, there's a lot of different stuff happening. You may want to turn some of this stuff off. Well, how exactly do you do it? Well, you can kind of hit the settings here and go to Hub Management. Oops. And you could actually disable notifications, so you're not going to get like pings and pop-ups and stuff like that here. One thing that the old BlackBerry phones did really well is delete prior, and being able to bulk delete notifications and emails is so important, because on iPhone you can't do that. With Android you can't really do that. If you get, I get like 100 emails a day to sometimes 500. If I don't check my emails in 24 hours, I'll have over 600 emails. Some of it's spam, but most of it is people emailing us for one reason or another. So being able to delete them all at once, so important, because otherwise you're just deleting them one by one and you're spending like half an hour. So to delete them all, you just hold you sort of like hold your finger on the date there. You see a trash symbol, and you can delete prior. So you can actually delete multiple emails at once. And BlackBerry has always done that well, but you saw how quickly that was accomplished on the Q10. On my BlackBerry Torch, it actually sometimes takes 10 to 15 seconds. So you can see that the processor and RAM really makes a difference. And you can do the same thing here with all your Facebook notifications too. Now, what I did notice with BB10 in general is that sometimes it's hit or miss whether you can delete them all. And this is kind of a bug that I noticed from day one, that the more emails or more messages that you have, the longer that it takes. Or you could just exit and come back, and most often they're going to be deleted. So unfortunately, with delete prior, there are some bugs with it, and I hope BlackBerry does solve that. There are some native apps. These are more or less the native apps that come with it. You have your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Foursquare, your maps. Just show you quickly the Facebook app here. So this is a native app written particularly for the BlackBerry Q10. No thanks.
Somebody wants you to play Angry Birds.
I've had enough of Angry Birds. But apparently they're making like an Angry Birds kids TV show, and
yeah,
they're
yeah.
coming out with a new app called Angry Birds Friends,
Yeah.
where it's like you compete against your friends.
They've had TV spots of the Angry Birds TV show on already in Canada, at least. So
Oh man,
there we go.
that makes me full of rage. And anyways, you could with Marvel Comics, it's another sort of side-loaded app here. Once you have, if you have a Marvel account, like on any other type of thing, you can quickly download stuff. So we quickly paused the video, ran the download. No. So of course you could read comics from Marvel Comics. Again, this app's not available in BlackBerry World. It's only available through apps.goodyreader.com. And despite the fact that it has a small screen, when you have guided view turned on, you can actually read the comics. And you can sort of get out of that, zoom in particular frames if you want to. Yeah, so it's fine. The one thing I will say though is when you are in apps, notification bar is gone, and that's something that's like perturbing.
But you do have that bar at the bottom that stays up until you kind of close that too. So
Yeah,
but at least there's not something there all the time.
yeah, I guess so. But I mean, I hear a lot of complaints from people with BB10 is that bar often disappears. So if
I
you
like
want
the
to
bar there. I'm an Android user, and I like how there's always a bar.
I
to
like
go
that
to,
bar
yeah.
too because like it gives you like little notifications and this
Battery
and that. Yeah.
reception. I mean, there's just so much on there.
Yeah,
so.
if you get lost in an app, you're not aware of how much battery drain that you're going through.
Exactly.
So in any case, I mean, Instagram, it's another app that you could get on your Q10 here. So as you can see, we've already logged in. If you're wanting to get Instagram on either your Q10 or Z10, we actually have a tutorial on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/goodyreader, that shows you how to get Instagram working. So yeah, we have Instagram and a number of fun apps here. But I mean, telephone experience, kind of just show you how the keyboard looks. So this is touch screen, remember? So I don't know who that is.
You dialed 10 digits exactly. Let's call him.
That's what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not. You're like, hello? Who is this? It's a Goody Reader.
Yeah.
Review of the Z10.
You're on the air.
Totally, you're live on the air. But perhaps another time. In any case, I mean, again, default apps, box, no explaining. A lot of these things here, nothing too much to write home about. I mean, we're not going to show you how the calculator and everything like that works. But what I will show you is BlackBerry World. And the interface has been designed for the Q10 here. As you can see, since we actually reviewed the Z10 on day one, a lot of apps have come out. We now have like Major League Baseball apps. A lot of kind of cool companies have been actually putting out really great apps, but there is still like a lot of crud on this ecosystem, and a lot of the apps that were made for the Z10 weren't made for the Q10. But what I still realize is that a lot of the apps that you see here are not native apps that were written for BlackBerry, but they're simply Android ports. And what I mean by Android ports is that all BB10 devices have an Android emulator. So when we showed you Marvel Comics or Instagram and apps like that, they're apps that were Android ports, and so they don't take advantage of any of the native BlackBerry platform features, but you can convert Android apps to work either on a Q10 or a Z10. One of the things you can actually do is actually look at and buy videos and music. So it's all part of like BlackBerry Music and BlackBerry Video, so you could simply, buy songs by the track. Best country charts, what? think we could have found something better, but
You chose it.
yeah, I just clicked on something randomly. The sound quality is really good, though.
It's really good. The speakers at the bottom, I don't have much of a complaint with that. It's more of a problem when it's on the very back. So
Here
you have
too, it is. It looks
you have the
like
top speaker, and then you have the speaker on the bottom of the device, as you've seen in our hardware portion of this review.
yeah. So I mean, I'm fairly impressed. I mean, this is an expensive phone.
It's a very expensive phone for what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, this phone would not have a mass market appeal, I feel. For one, price barrier, and two, of the lack of apps. You know, we really get spoiled with iOS having a lot of first-party support and Android having a lot of indie support, and eventually getting a lot of the big mainstream apps. But, you know, it takes a while. Like Vine was big on iOS, but it still has yet to really hit Android. Field Runners 2 just hit Android almost after about a year and a half on iOS. So it's really... you're not really buying a BlackBerry in so much for the app experience. More or less, you're buying it for the long battery life. It's one of the few phones in the world with like a full QWERTY keyboard. So as you can see here, I mean, this keyboard is one of the best in the business. I mean, the keys are grooved. I started typing on this and I was making like no mistakes. And when I type on a touch screen, I often, you know, type, delete, type, delete. You know, I'm not used to typing on a keyboard. So I really like the physical keyboard. But again, this phone's not for everybody. The dirge and lack of apps, the weak BlackBerry World App Store, but I mean, it's a super high quality phone. I mean, it feels like $1 million in your hands. I mean, it does not feel like they skimped out on the design and the overall aesthetics. Great cameras, long battery life. It has LTE, dual core, 2 gigs of RAM. I mean, it's bursting with specs, but it's not a serious competitor, I feel, to like iOS and to Android in general. But again, you're not buying this phone for those reasons. You're buying it for productivity. You're buying it because you're loyal to BlackBerry, but also because of the great user experience that it gives you. Now, to be fair, I do think that, I don't know. I feel like this is a good phone, and BlackBerry is really trying its best to stay in the game with the BB10 operating system. But I feel that in order to get the most out of this phone, you have to sideload apps in. And sideloading apps in is not the easiest thing in the world, but we will have an upcoming video that will teach you how to do this on a Q10. So stay tuned for that. Final words.
I think I agree with you. The quality is definitely there, but for everything this can do for what you have here, it is grossly overpriced. It shouldn't be that much money for a dual-core phone with a square screen. Now, let's not forget the screen is square. It's basically 1-to-1. It's not 4:3, it's not 16:9. Everything's done in either portrait 16:9 or landscape 16:9. Videos, comic books, movies, episodes, TV shows. And then when you're trying to do that all on a square screen, it just doesn't look as good. And it's just far too small for the average person who goes for smartphones. It's too small. And that's because they're trying to go back to the old roots of the old BlackBerry bolds, curves, and for a lesser extent, torches with the QWERTY keyboard. Now, it's just, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of BlackBerry. I mean, the quality is definitely there. I do agree it's a well-known brand. A lot of people I know use them as well, but you can't beat a big screened Android device because, I mean, that's just, Android's so versatile. You don't have to sideload anything in if you don't want to. The screen's bigger. It's usually a far lower price tag, and it's just more compatible with so many other things. I like the Blackberry Q10. I just really wish it was significantly lesser in cost.
Yeah, in the end, it's almost BlackBerry's turned into a device for like the advanced user. If you want to load in your own apps, I mean, it's jumping through a lot of hoops where Google device, you go to Google Play, download whatever you want. You know, iOS, you load up the App Store, download whatever you want. I mean, BlackBerry does have a weak App Store. It is growing, but I would say to get the most out of it, you do have to sideload in your own apps, but as well as like customizations. It doesn't run live wallpapers, which I don't understand why BB10 doesn't run live wallpapers. You can run static ones, but I mean you can't run things like Swift key or swipe. You can't.
There's no widgets on the home screen.
There's no widget based support, and a lot of people want that sort of thing out of a modern phone. But in the end, I would probably recommend this for the loyal BlackBerry crowd. If you're a casual user, you may want to look at another phone, but I still do think that this gives you a fairly large bang for your buck. But I would probably say overall, the Z10 is probably a more superior device in every way than the Q10 is. It's the difference between a keyboard and a non-keyboard, whether you feel better typing on a touchscreen keyboard rather than a full physical QWERTY key keyboard.
The Z10 can do what today's phones are meant to do. The screen surpasses the entire length of this entire device of the Q10. It's definitely, I would say, if you can live without the QWERTY keyboard, it would be the Z10 all day long.
Yeah, we'll leave it up to you guys to give the final verdict. You've heard our reasons and why we both like and dislike the Q10. Let's hear it from you. Give comment on this video, and make sure to watch all of our other videos on both of these devices. And for a Goody Reader review of the BlackBerry Q10, my name is Michael.
My name is Peter.
Everybody take care.